Boomers love to fucking vote. This is across the board. It doesn't matter where a boomer is from, what a boomer's racial background is, what a boomer's ethnicity is, what a boomer's lived experience is, or even what a boomer's ideology is. Boomers love to vote. They love to hold on to their real estate. They love to ensure that the policies that they're leaving behind destroy the next generation's life expectancy, destroy the next generation's material conditions, and they fucking love to vote. That's it. What gives?
Антисемитизмом называется распространение вражды к евреям. Когда проклятая исламская монархия доживала свое последнее время, она старалась натравить темных рабочих и крестьян на евреев.
You guys realize that, like, the establishment Democrats listen to things I have to say and then do the exact opposite every single fucking time. I mean, here's a great example of it. Let's play this one more time.
I think these guys have failed so publicly and so spectacularly that it has caused people to seek out alternatives.
I see challenges from the quote, progressive left, unquote. And these people are too hard-headed to know that they're not popular. People don't like them. They don't win elections. They never run against Republicans. They just run against other Democrats. And their only message is, we're going to blow everything up.
James Carville says this is all going to implode at the general election.
Yeah, as opposed to previous neoliberal Democratic candidacies that have been spectacular successes so far. Hillary Rodham Clinton in 2016 and Kamala Harris in 2024. There are a lot of people who are just like, this is not working. Cost of living crisis is completely out of control. Democrats haven't done anything about it. Republicans haven't done anything about it. There has to be a different alternative.
I have one simple philosophy about politics. Winning is everything, stupid. Let's think of somebody. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders ran for president twice. You know what he did twice? He lost. By a lot.
Because for progressives, getting out of the primary is a far more difficult battle than winning in the general. This is our theory. The reason for that is because Republicans don't have a vision for change. Socialists do.
Obviously, it's a much longer conversation that I had with Donnie. But my attitude on this is very clear from the start, right? Yes, I'm wearing the same suit jacket, chat. Shut up. My attitude on this has been very clear. If the establishment Democrats coalesce behind socialist candidates in the general and use their turnout machine not against the socialist candidates, but instead in the direction of socialist candidates, it would be over. There would never be another Republican victory for the upcoming 10 generations, okay? This would be a one-party state. This would be a one-party state de facto, okay? The problem is Democrats, or at least the center of power in the Democratic Party, is unfortunately far too invested in the corporate oligopoly that exists in the same exact way that the Republicans are. The center of power needs to shift away from these establishment Democrats. And for the longest time, they have been able to successfully keep out socialists. They've been able to successfully stop their left flank because the electability argument was successful. It was successful in not winning elections necessarily, but it was successful in stopping voters in the Democratic Party primaries from voting for a candidate that they actually liked. But now, after this second humiliating defeat against Donald Trump, establishment Democrats can no longer convince voters in the Democratic Party primaries to vote for the establishment on the electability argument. The electability cudgel is no longer working. Part of that is because, like I said, they lost. I think you are undervaluing how DSA being an outsider and not supported by the establishment is good for them. Yes, but once we get to the general, Once we get to the general, we can't be fighting against the establishment and the Republicans. Okay? That's the real secret sauce here. That's the real secret recipe. And I don't think you guys are ready for that conversation yet because you've never actually experienced this yet. Because Bernie lost in the primaries, right? What worked in New York City when the establishment Democratic forces coalesce behind a spoiler like Andrew Cuomo will not work in Wisconsin. It will not work in Michigan. Okay? Guys, this is where there is a little bit of you know, there's a little bit of social engineering that we have to engage in. Okay? You're wrong. You're objectively wrong. Of course, Zoran is going to fucking defeat the establishment Democrats and the establishment Republicans in fucking New York. But if there is additional hurdles presented by establishment Democrats in places like Michigan, in places like Wisconsin, that will be a toss-up. If the establishment forces coalesce behind the socialist flank, those will be easy-ass elections to win. I'll give you an example, okay? It's not a secret. Even in this new poll that just came out in Emerson, where Abdul El-Sayed is surging, is coasting. Not a secret that Haley Stevens has been doing incredible numbers with the black voting bloc. Okay? It's like 60-30, give or take. It's true. And black voters are fundamentally important for Democratic victories in every state. Okay? In every state. So if there is a similar situation to what's going on with Jasmine Crockett in Texas, but this time in Detroit, in the general election, which is going to be different because Haley Stevens is not a charismatic black woman that was beloved by the black voting bloc. They're just kind of voting for her because they think she is a reliable establishment pick. Some people are voting for her because they think, Barack Obama endorsed her, whatever, right? But if establishment Democrats cynically weaponize boomer black voters against the inevitable victor of these primaries, this will turn winnable races into losses. That's not the primary. We're now talking about the general. That's different. So in Texas, for example, Jasmine Crockett is very clearly positioning herself against Tallarico, running purely on spite, which is wild because Tallarico isn't even like an insurgent left candidate, right? Tallarico is backed by Liz Smith. Tallarico is backed by the same exact forces that the majority Democrats, right? The same exact forces that have pushed for a lot of moderates in a lot of races, and we're backing Mallory McMorrow in the Michigan primaries. So like, it's not like James Tallarico himself is this like crazy socialist. And yet, Jasmine Crockett has not shown full support to Tallarico for one reason or another. I think I know what the reason is. That creates a little bit of a threat, a little bit of a dangerous predicament. I don't know if that's going to discourage older black voters from going out and voting for James Tallarico, but the fact that she has been openly antagonistic towards James Tallarico after she lost the primary is not helpful. Same goes for community organizers, community leaders in Wayne County. If community organizers and community leaders in Wayne County feel like, they really backed Haley Stevens, they really wanted Haley Stevens for one reason or another, I won't say what those reasons are, Israeli donations, and they just refuse and they try to keep up the same exact pseudo-ethnic tensions that exist that aren't that significant or not significant enough at this point, but like really try to lean into that to depress the black voter turnout, this will be a difficult race for Abdul El-Sayed in the general. Why are the transitions hard cut and doesn't have the fade in transition? Oh my God, dude, what the fuck? It's because we swapped it when I have interviews, it's better for the editors to edit if it's a hard cut instead of a fade transition. So we shut down the fade transition because I'm gonna have an interview later. But that is crazy that you noticed that and you're like mad about it. That blows my mind that you are paying. There's a chatter in here who just said, "Oh, I wasn't listening because I was playing a video game." And then there's another chatter who's like, "I'm the most autistic chatter. Give me the award." I didn't even know we had video perverts. I know we have audio perverts. I didn't even know we had video perverts in this community. Pay less attention, please. Or perhaps pay more attention to the words that are coming out of my mouth rather than the video no longer having the same like 5 millisecond transition in between screens and scenes. This is my first time seeing font in blackface. This Haley Stevens for Senate literature is targeting black voters. Democrat Haley Stevens for Senate, standing up to Trump for Michigan. Michigan's effective fighter. Most effective Michigan Democrat in the House. She was a critical part of my team that helped American auto industry come roaring back. Barack Obama.
And pussy too.
Stevens served as chief of staff to the U.S. Auto Rescue Task Force. Stevens' detailed grasp of the issues facing manufacturers earned her the respect of labor organizations. Anyway, Charles Gaba says, honest question, what exactly about this flyer specifically targeting black voters? It looks like her standard talking points and resume stuff. Sam Robinson responds, good question. The design, the colors of the pamphlet, and the font being used. Perhaps Charles Gaba should stay out of, black issues. Perhaps. I know Charles Gaba is one of those guys who's like a big healthcare guy who like now is insane. Israel brain poisoned guy. He used to be a big progressive, I think, or maybe I'm misremembering. But another one of these guys that like is so Israel brained that he is antagonistic to all things progressive now. Blue sky liberal. It literally looks like a HBCU brochure. Yeah, I mean it's clear what the signal is here. In any case, this is the Kente cloth of campaign flyers. Yeah. So the new Emerson poll shows something crazy. What you'll see from centrist and anti-Syed pundits is that Stevens is up 32 with black voters, but the only age cohorts where she's not double digits underwater are 60 to 70 plus 9 and 70 plus at plus 19. Need to see the full crosstabs, but I bet Syed carries with black voters under 50. Yes, that is the case. I've told you that is the case. The problem is, just as this is the case with every other demographic, with black voters, they vote by Assad numbers the older they get. Because what have I told you already? Boomers love to fucking vote. This is across the board. It doesn't matter where a boomer is from, what a boomer's racial background is, what a boomer's ethnicity is, what a boomer's lived experience is, or even what a boomer's ideology is. Boomers love to vote. They love to hold on to their real estate. They love to ensure that the policies that they're leaving behind destroy the next generation's life expectancy, destroy the next generation's material conditions, and they fucking love to vote. That's it. There is no difference. Black boomers, white boomers, Hispanic boomers, they fucking love to vote. It's their favorite activity. And also it's a voting in the direction of ladder pulling. Okay? But there is one thing that a lot of these pollsters have missed. Millennials. The millennials are coming. The fail-ennials have been showing up with incredible numbers for progressive candidates. Oh my Lord, it is our time, folks. Fail-ennials are the motherfucking sweet spot for these left flank insurgency candidacies. Okay? Fail-ennials rise up. It is our time. Central Committee says in New York's 7th Congressional District, where Ms. Valdez won, younger registered Democrats turned out at a higher rate than older registered Democrats, a rare occurrence in a primary election. Search that in the article I just sent you. Yep. Millennials had a higher turnout than boomers in Claire Valdez's race. Millennials are the communist coalition in this goddamn country, okay? As a voting bloc. The Hasan head coalition. It's great. Yeah, El-Sayed is doing best with 40 to 49-year-olds. The generation that was told that they bought too much avocado toast and therefore they could not buy a house is now coming back resentful, coming back angry, demanding necessary changes. That is what this is. For Gen Z is the microplastic generation. Millennials are the avocado toast generation. For every generation, there's always been the older generation that tells them, oh, you can't buy a house not because of systemic forces, but because you just fucking purchased something stupid. I don't know what the Gen Z avocado toast version is. Maybe vape pods, Uber Eats, OnlyFans subscriptions, Starbucks, Labubu. I don't know. Nothing has been as like singularly focused on as the avocado toast. I think for the Gen Z, the avocado toast is just fucking groceries, honestly. Kind of sucks, but for Gen Z, we're going to be telling them they can't fucking own a home because they eat too much food. You bought lunch? How dare you? You're supposed to skip breakfast and perhaps lunch as well if you want to be able to have some money on the side to be able to put a down payment on a home. Rotisserie chicken. According to the Wall Street Journal, Gen Zers and millennials are swimming in student debt and may never own homes, but they're splurging on gut-healthy juices and rotisserie chickens. Nah, we just think the world is going to end or the boomers will kill us to avoid paying taxes. I mean, both of those things are going to happen, and both of those things are related to one another. And both of those things are true. I genuinely think boomers would probably murder every single Zoomer, like including their own immediate relatives, if it meant that they get to sit in their fucking retirement homes and the value keeps growing for some reason until the day that they die. I think that there's obviously going to be like this massive wealth transfer that people are talking about. It's like fucking trillions of dollars just trapped in the oldest the oldest coalition of voters right now. And all of that is going to be dumped into palliative care, retirement homes, like old folks' homes and like those kinds of communities. All of that money is going to exchange hands, not from them to you necessarily, but it's going to go directly into these scummy, predatory ass businesses that will most likely torture these fucking boomers till their very last breath. My fiance works in hospice care, and let me tell you, business is booming. Yeah, because the only money that is in the American economy right now is in the hands of fucking boomers. In the Western world, look, here's the secret. In the Anglosphere, the only wealth that exists and the only like additional wealth that's growing outside of the stock market is in homes. And who owns the homes? Old people who at least had an opportunity to be able to buy a home back in the fucking day. And once they did purchase a home, they were like, going forward, the price of my house has to always go up year over year. Now, of course, this is beneficial for the fake economy because it looks good. Oh my God, America is such a wealthy nation. I bought this house for $100,000 in 1993. Now the house is valued at $10 million. Look at me. I'm a 10 millionaire. That's how it works. Obviously, I'm a fucking exaggerating, but like, that's usually how it goes. Every homeowner is a fucking millionaire because every home is worth $1 million or more than $1 million. That's what the wealth is. People talk about how like there's, hundreds of thousands of new millionaires being minted in the United States of America every year. And they're like, wow, America's growing. The American economy is exploding. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. What's exploding is the fucking housing market. What's exploding is the speculative housing market because we're not building fucking homes. Yeah, passive artificial asset appreciation. No one is actually experiencing a better real economy, but the fake economy is fucking booming. It's like Elon Musk after his IPO of SpaceX launched in these mysterious with these mysterious circumstances. He was a trillionaire. What does that mean? Does that mean you made more money? Does that mean you are having an easier go at it? Are groceries fucking cheaper? No. It didn't do dick for you. It didn't even do anything for him. Let's be real, because it's fake. It's bullshit. He was a trillionaire for one day and then back to being a 100 billionaire broke boy in the next. And then we still sit around and act like all of this stuff is real. It's fucking insane. It's fake, man. I always say this. Look, I'm not the smartest guy when it comes to, anything past the point of micro and macroeconomic principles 101. Having said that, with my dumb guy brain, I look at the situation and I think to myself, money is fake. It has never been more fake than it is at this very moment. It'll be more fake tomorrow. Okay? It is so fucking fake. Money is so fake. Anyway, let's look at these Emerson poll numbers. I mean, what a surge for Abdul. Holy shit. Emerson, Michigan Senate Dem primary. Abdul El-Sayed at 54%. Haley Stevens at 39%. And with leaners, any leaners in the chat? Abdul El-Sayed goes up to 57. Haley Stevens goes up to 41. By age, Abdul El-Sayed between 18 to 29 at plus 41. 30 to 39 at plus 24, 40 to 49 at plus 54, 50 to 59 at plus 12, 60 to 69. All of a sudden, Haley Stevens gets a plus 9 advantage, and 70 plus Haley Stevens is doing crazy at plus 19, but still not enough. Remember one thing I told you? This proves my theory that the boomers are also not as bad as you think they are. Okay? I know you look at this and you go, oh, what the fuck is wrong with boomers? I just did a whole, the whole hour on how boomers deserve less. But actually, what this shows me is that the boomers are all right too. Okay? The boomers are all right too. Hear me out. Only plus 9 for 60 to 69 and only plus 19 for 70 plus means that a shit ton of boomers are still voting for Abdul El-Sayed. That's what that means. And it's very important because boomers love to vote. Boomers love to vote. That is a very large chunk of the voters. Sometimes in races, it's like 50 plus percent of the voters are boomers. So that means, and this is something that we saw with Maylot Quiros in Denver. This is something that we even saw with Daria Liza. Boomers are still not leaning in the direction of the establishment pick by the numbers that Haley Stevens needs to defeat Abdul El-Sayed. Okay? That's what this means. And we saw this. And this was my prediction for Maylot Quiros as well. Remember, if you recall, I told you that the boomer vote percentage would shock you. This is that reality unfolding. For Stevens to comfortably win the primary, she needs far higher boomer turnout in her direction. Boomers see the youth momentum and they get very excited about it. That's the one thing that's catnip for these boomers. Because boomers love watching television and voting for what television man tells them to vote for. Okay? They love it. They'll turn on MSNBC. They'll turn on CNN. They'll hear Jake Tapper talk about how Abdul is a filthy terrorist, and they'll go, I'm going to vote for whoever Abdul's opponent is. Oh, my God. I love it. But the one way to defeat that, the one way to surefire penetrate the boomer collective psyche is by putting a 20-year-old at their door who is excited to vote for Abdul El-Sayed. When boomers fucking see, because it's not healthcare, it's not policies. They already have free healthcare. They don't give a shit. They go, Medicare for all? Excuse me? Yeah, Medicare all for me. I already have it. They don't give a fuck about Medicare for all. They do not give a fuck. But what they do get excited about, more than anything else, is when they see young people excited to vote for a candidate. Okay? When they see a young person, and that means they're boomers, so they're like, this is 40-year-olds too, okay? 40 and below. From their perspective, you're basically a baby, okay? But if boomers see 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds in a rally for a particular candidate, they go, oh my God, look at how exciting this is. Look at how exciting it is. All of the youngs, all of the youths are excited about this guy. Now I'm excited about this guy. I am telling you, okay? It is fucking catnip. So if we can't win the mainstream crowd, which we will never win because they're backed by corporations, and corporations are obviously antagonistic to our left flank insurgency movement, we will defeat the establishment by bringing forward a groundswell of youths that are backing our candidates. They love that shit. I've seen it with my own two fucking eyes. I've talked to Abdul about it as well. Remember that famous quote that he has about how, like, you know, I go to these town halls and there's a lot of old people, and the old people are there, and there's a lot of young people. The old people are there and they're always like, wow, why do you have so many young people here? It's so exciting. And I asked all the young people where they heard about me, and the young people always say Hasan Abi's broadcast. Yeah, boomers think they're succeeding as mentors when any young person is excited to vote. It gets their atrophied little civic heart thumping. Yes. I mean, it makes sense. Some of you are into Warhammer. Some of you are into D&D. Now imagine if someone who was like super old that was also into Warhammer figurines or D&D, you'd get excited, right? You're like, oh, I'm sharing my hobby with someone that is from an unlikely background, an unlikely demographic. For boomers, voting is Warhammer. For them, voting is Dungeons and Dragons. For them, voting is collecting Pokemon cards. They fucking love that shit. So when they see a 20-year-old get excited to do the one thing that they love, they lose their fucking minds. They lose their minds. They're like, oh my God, this is my favorite thing. And now young people are doing my favorite thing, which is voting, exercising my civic responsibility. That's how it works. That's it. Bingo and voting. I genuinely believe this. This is how we've been able to crack the 65 plus demographic so that it doesn't swing wildly in the direction of the establishment Democrats and make these races closer. That's what it is. Look at this. My dad voted for Abdul today. You know what's funny? My dad is pretty centrist in my opinion, but when I was over in Michigan for the holidays, I was ranting about Israel, and he was like, Netanyahu needs to die under his breath. I was like, huh? Yeah. People also fucking hate Israel. That's the other thing. It is not good. It is not looking too good for Israel, okay? Of course, we disavow the violent rhetoric coming from centrist liberals. I would never entertain such a violent thing. You guys know this. Yeah, this CNN poll is also wild. The Dem establishment is cooked. Dem base loads its party establishment, and it's why democratic socialism rates so high. The more David Axelrod's lash out at DSA, the more credibility the Dem socks gain. Yep. Most Democratic aligned adults would be upset if their party nominated a candidate who agrees with Trump's policies. Democratic Socialists has 73%, cuts support for Israel at 69%, nice. Attacks opponents at 24%. For over 20%, supports Trump's policies at 12%, accused of sexual assault at 4%. That means they're enthusiastic or okay about someone who describes themselves as a democratic socialist at 73%. Someone who believes U.S. should cut support to Israel is at 69%. And someone who frequently goes on to attack against their political opponents is at, 24%.
Wide.
19-year-old Brandon Young from 6 Mile says he's voting for Abdul El-Sayed because Haley Stevens is pro-Israel. She's too much of a corporate Israel shill. Young says, okay, which one of you is this?
Don't like Haley Stevens? Easy. She's like too much of a corporate and Israel shill. Like one of her like most famous quotes is that Israel comes to her in her dreams. Fuck that. I'm so sick of America like bending the knee and like getting on its knees for Israel, and Haley Stevens doesn't really seem to be against.
Okay, come on. Which one of you is this, bro? Which one of you is this? There is 0% chance that this is not a Hasan Abi head.
Abdul El-Sayed doesn't take like any corporate funding. He just has endorsements from the UAW and Bernie Sanders. Haley Stevens is basically like being groomed to be in the Senate to make more favorable changes for Israel, and I'm not okay with that. I already don't like indirectly supporting a genocide just by collecting a paycheck or by buying literally anything in the
This is just a confirmed citizen, bro. Chill. Okay.
country, because I know it's all going to eventually go upwards and then outwards to Israel. And if I can like say that my own state's responsible for that, I feel.
Do you not think people can come to these conclusions on their own? I find it a really good thing that people are coming to this without you laying the path for them. Things are changing. No, I know, but this is, come on, dude. Come on. Dragon Ball Z t-shirt, rollerblade gloves, dudes talking about Israel comes to my dreams, 19 years old. It's in the pocket. Like if this was like a 75-year-old white guy, I'd be like, that's not like that there are
deeply ashamed. So I'm just going to vote for the guy that's not doing that.
Where do you live, Brandon?
Not far from here. I live on a 6 Mile.
All right, what's your last name?
Young.
Brandon Young. Thank you so much.
Also, I'm making a joke regardless. But it does strike me as a possible Hasan head. 19 is too young. Oh God, dude, 19-year-old who's giving a 19-year-old who voted in the fucking primaries. There's not that many of them out there, okay? There's a reason. There's not a lot of 19-year-olds in this community in general, but if there's a 19-year-old who's voting, they either love me or fucking hate me, okay? Wake the fuck up. Every single 19-year-old that votes in a Democratic primary in the fucking midterms either is one of the most annoying election Twitter weirdos or is most likely a Hasan head. Y'all are so fucking dumb. Gaming Black Jesus. I'm very happy to see young black kids are caring about elections, man. Boomer. Boo. There you go. This is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about. Boomer. See? It gets the fucking blood pumping. Boomer. I was just saying it. You see a 19-year-old get excited about going out to vote in the primaries. It does something to the boomer consciousness, okay? If you're over the age of 60, if you're over the age of 50, and you see someone so young get excited to vote in the fucking primaries, of a midterm election, it does something to boomers. I'm telling you, it's motherfucking catnip, dude. It's catnip. Nothing gets boomers excited like seeing younger folk also get enjoyment out of exercising their civic duty. It's their favorite thing to do. So when they see other people enjoy their favorite thing to do, which is voting, they lose their fucking minds. This is why Abdul, Mela Kiros, all these other insurgent left candidates have been able to activate at least some of the boomers to vote for them, which is why those races are not being won by like 4 points or 5 points, but instead 15 points, 20 points. Okay? My friend hates politics and hates you, but is voting for Abdul because he hates Israel. All right, fuck it. Let's go. Put that down. Also, that I don't understand. Where someone is like, I fucking hate Israel, but also I hate Hasan. Who hates Israel more than me, motherfucker? What are we talking about? We take those, though. I don't give a shit. It's like those people. It's like those people that have just been like duped by a lot of reactionary propaganda, oftentimes coming from like Zionist outlets. Like they get duped by the Hasbara machine, and they will repeat talking points that they've heard from like ultra liberals, ultra Zionists, without even realizing. But they think that they're like they're mounting reasonable critique from the left. I see it all the time. I see it in like especially the ultra community. Like, Maoists, the TikTok Zoomers that love Red Shambhala edits, and the TikTok Zoomers that do like, Thomas Sankara edits and Maoist edits. Those guys fucking hate me. They literally are always like, oh, dude, you're a fucking DNC shill. But then they'll just like write an entire screed that is basically a Destiny subreddit post, or they'll be like, he he actually said that, like, there will be people who are claiming to be further to the left of me while simultaneously saying that I deny rapes that took place on October 7th and that's why they hate me. I'm like, brother, what are you saying? Like, what is what? You're over here being like, Hasan Piker is not sufficiently in support of Jusha, but then you're also like reheating propaganda from like ultra Zionist outlets. Establishment Democratic Party strategists will see this and think, it sounds like young people want more plucky, upbeat, short form vertical videos. Yeah. They're already doing that, by the way. They're already doing that. I saw there was an article that came out with the Associated Press, which briefly mentioned me as well. There was a new Associated Press article that came out about like the new left media and how new left media has played a formative role in getting Abdul out there in front of a lot of people. Dave Weigel tweeted about it as well. Here it is. This is really smart. Ali Swenson's story about the rise of progressive media, which I think has been a massive factor in Michigan Senate. El-Sayed ran for governor in 2018. There was no breaking points, no Zateo, no drop site. TikTok wasn't a big deal yet. Reels didn't rip it off yet. Traditional media mattered a lot more, and getting your message out without it was pretty tough. In the 2018 campaign, El-Sayed had to fend off a long challenge to his residency, which hurt both his fundraising and his media reach. Is a channel going to send a producer and crew for a candidate who might get tossed off the ballot? El-Sayed built his own media profile after losing that race, books, podcasts, and got better at winning the For You page. There's also just much more media that gets in front of normal voters now, and he was all over it, while that same media was mocking Stevens. I didn't even mention Hasan the Hun. A turning point in Michigan Senate was McMorrow condemning El-Sayed. Haley Stevens did that too, by the way, not just McMorrow, for campaigning with Hasan, something that most people clearly don't find offensive. Made her look like a hand-wringing scold while El-Sayed was going for a new audience. So here's the interesting thing about this analysis. There is some truth. There is some truth to this. A new media ecosystem is taking root on the left and reshaping Democratic Party politics. These are all, this is our backyard, right? We've been doing this for the last decade almost, right? This didn't just like materialize out of fucking blue, out of the blue. This didn't materialize out of thin air. This is something that we have been developing for years and years. It's been even longer than the last 10 years. I would say it's, I've been around for even longer than that. It was TYT, Majority Report, Air America that like then merged into all of this stuff. But it's new left media. Okay. Did you get a bump in viewership after getting more mainstream attention? Barbara Streisand effect? Not necessarily. I don't think I did. I don't think it's been all that helpful in terms of like bringing in new audiences. I think nothing aids on Twitch and on YouTube. Nothing is as powerful as the algorithm is. Nothing is as powerful as like key collaborations are. I don't think like being talked about in mainstream media actually gives me any boost in my analytics. I haven't seen it. It does give me real credibility in the real world, though. Like, I think it puts me in front of a lot more people. I will say anecdotally, from my own personal experiences in the real world, a lot more people recognize me in public now, more than ever before, even. And there were plenty of people who would recognize me in public in the past as well. So that definitely has like I get more normie recognition overall. So mainstream media does have that capacity to boost your normie recognition. So there's IRL growth, but I don't think I have a lot of like newer viewers that came in because of the positive or negative coverage from mainstream media at all. I've said this before. There was a period of time when all these articles were being written about me, all these profiles were being written about me about how like I'm the Joe Rogan of the left, all this shit. And none of that did anything to my real analytics on Twitch as one Theo Vaughn appearance did. One Theo Vaughn appearance was far more impactful than anything else. I just think about you being on CNN or whatever while flying back and the guy next to you looks at you. Yeah. But in any case, it's fine. This is why Hannity won't have you on. No, Hannity, it doesn't have any emotion. It would be impactful for him if I actually had him on. It would be better for him if I went on his stream than it would be, or his podcast, than it would be for me. Yeah, you're just consistent. 25 to 30K for 6 years. You don't really get interviewed on CNN, mainstream news, to be fair. Yeah, I don't. I'm not going to lie, Hasan. You got a workshop that whole sitting with politician doesn't help me at all. It definitely does help. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You guys are wrong. There's two different worlds out there, okay? The real world, the IRL world with the normies, and the world that like mainstream media cares about, and then the internet world. On the internet world, me doing all of this shit with politicians don't matter even a little bit. Like, here, I'll give you an example, okay? This corner of the internet that we're on, specifically on Twitch or TikTok or all these other places, like, they don't care about real world impact at all. They care a lot more about what the algorithm shows you, right? They care a lot more about what the algo shows you. And what the algo shows you is, you know, clips, oftentimes out of context, or you know, bad clips, negative clips, in my experience, and then sometimes good clips as well, drama, all this shit. That's what gives you, that's what boosts your, that's usually what boosts your profile. Like going to the streamer awards or doing the streamer games like Ludwig streamer games or going to streamer university would be unbelievably impactful, like far more impactful as far as like putting me in front of a lot of new eyeballs than doing a million mainstream media interviews. Doing real life political work, whether it be interviewing candidates or whatever the fuck, is far worse for the algorithm. It's not fun content that people enjoy. I mean, you guys are obviously hyper autistic and you think it's good, but from a pure analytics perspective, it's not. This is what I do. This is my fucking job. Okay? I'm telling you. I do it because that's what matters the most to me, but I don't do it for clout. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have helped you with viewers, which sucks for streamer Hasan, but for Hasan, the political actor, it's huge. It's bought you a lot of credibility with journalists, candidates, and people in policy circles, so it was a double-edged sword. Yeah. Well, hopefully one day I can rebalance it a little bit better and do more normie focused, like fun content and more collaborations and stuff like that with other streamers so that we can still bring in a newer audience, a younger audience as well, and get them more primed to be excited to go out and vote and engage in political activism, political advocacy, and establish a better base for them and their understanding of the world in general. Right now, there's still a lot of resilient, like anti-woke tendencies amongst Gen Z that are quote unquote apolitical, and those people still are those younger apolitical people still are like, yeah, Hasan fucking sucks. He's a real evil villain. But the anti-woke stuff is breaking. So our time will come again because there's an inevitability. There's an inevitability to those guys growing up and finding their own footing in the political universe. Believe it or not, I actually found you through JCS Reacts and recaps on your back and forth with Video Game Donkey anecdotal, but even among the politically obsessed that the fun stuff brings people in. Yeah, no, for sure. Anyway. But this has been impactful. Farrah Barron, a physician assistant in Holland, Michigan, used to learn about politics from channels like ABC, CBS, and CNN, but that changed as she decided that coverage of the war in Gaza was irreparably biased. Another thing that I fucking called out for the last 3 years. If you remember, I said establishment media, mainstream media, is destroying its credibility by defending Israel, by defending the American State Department project, first under the Biden administration, and then certainly under the Trump administration. This is forcing people's hand to seek out alternatives. We are the alternatives. We are actually offering real, on-the-ground coverage from the people who are being attacked. We're putting the camera on the people who are victim to these strikes and not going and talking to the people who are doing the strikes. Okay, as Amy Goodman likes to say. Cedin deden Nesrin baban.